Hi everyone. So I just got back from a 3-night, 4-day fall canoe trip and I'm editing that video right now, but in the meantime I figured that I would make this video to share the information on the gear I brought with me for that trip. Mostly because in my previous videos people have asked questions about it. So I thought I'd make this video for informational purposes. And yeah, I guess I've hesitated on making this gear video because one, I'm not an expert, so yeah, and if you've watched any of my previous videos, then you already know that. Two, because I don't want gear to be a barrier of entry for anyone that is looking to get out into the outdoors or get out into nature, because the gear that I have now, I didn't have when I first started, and the gear that I did have when I first started, a lot of it I replaced. And I don't love buying things and then replacing them. But the reality is when I started, I had no experience, so I had no idea what I was gonna like and what I wasn't gonna like as far as gear goes. And the only way to find that out is through trial and error. And I was on a major budget when I first started. I didn't know if this was gonna be a phase or just a midlife crisis I was having. So I just didn't want to spend a bunch of money if I didn't know for sure if I was gonna stick with this. My point is that you can do this without necessarily having all the gear that I have today. But at the place that I'm at now, I do feel like I have my gear fairly dialed in. I do like most of the items that I have, but I'm not reviewing any of the items. This isn't a review video. It really just is for information purposes only. And for anyone who's curious, I will link the information for all of the items in the description box for the video. None of those links are affiliate links. I don't earn anything if you do click on those links. And just in general, I have zero affiliations with any company, no sponsorships or anything like that. And everything that I have, I've bought myself with money from my job. Okay, so the trip that I just got back from, like I said, it was a fall trip. So there were a few things that I took into consideration when packing for it. Obviously, the weather. So the temperature ranged on this trip from anywhere from 35 to 60 degrees. So it was quite a fluctuation, or there were a lot of fluctuations in temperature while I was out. So I wanted to account for that when packing. Sorry, that's my my grandfather clock. But and then the length of time. Lastly, the amount of portaging that I was going to have to do. And the portages on this trip weren't crazy long or anything like that, but they were super steep. So weight was absolutely a major consideration in the gear that I did decide to bring with me. With all of that being said, let's get into the gear items. So the first thing that I figured I would talk about is my big pack. So this is a Hygiene dry bag. It's 100 liters, so it's actually huge. So I can pack a lot of stuff in it. But yeah, I brought this bag for obvious reasons. It's a canoe trip, and so I wanted to have a big dry bag for all my gear. And then even though I have a dry bag and this big pack, I also like to keep this smaller pack with me. It's just an REI Flash 22. And I have this with me just to have gear items that I want to be able to reach easily while I'm paddling. It's not waterproof, of course, so I don't put anything that I would be too worried about getting wet in here. And really, you could use any small backpack for this. I just got this because I loved the REI Flash 55 for my backpacking trips. But yeah, I do have one more bag that I bring along. And that's this dry bag here. It's just a small dry bag. I just keep this just so that it's honestly mostly just for my camera gear, so that while I'm filming, if things get a little bit rough or whatever, I can just like toss it in here and roll it up and close it. I don't think this is 100% secure and safe as far as keeping my stuff from getting wet, but at least it's something. Like I'll toss my phone in here, etc. So these are the 3 packs that I pretty much put everything in for my trips. So I'm going to start with the items that I got in my big pack here. All right, so this right here is my shelter. As you can tell, it's a bit beat up already. But it's the Marmot Tungsten UL 2-person tent. And I actually like this tent a lot. This tent is, I think, a decent balance of everything I was looking for in a tent. It's freestanding, super easy to set up, and then it's also, I mean, it's not the lightest weight tent. I think it weighs a little over 3 pounds, something like that. And then in the front pocket of my pack, I keep my ground sheet. So I try to keep my shelter items at the top and in the front of my pack because I've made the mistake in the past of putting it at the bottom and then it's a pain trying to get it out, because usually that's the first thing that you're trying to get out of your pack when you get to camp and you want to get set up is your shelter. So I pack everything at the top now, and then I just keep this ground sheet here in the front because I get this out first. So I usually just pack this here along with some, let's see if I have them in here. Yeah, along with some tent stakes or some stakes. I don't know why I'm putting stuff back in here when I'm intentionally trying to unpack. Another shelter item that I have in my pack that I try to keep at the top of my pack is this tarp. So I almost always bring this tarp with me just because of the possibility, obviously, of rain. So this is an AquaQuest guide tarp. It is the lightest weight version that they offer, and it's the 10 by 10. In retrospect, I kind of wish I would have gotten the 7 by 10 because it's a little bit big, but I've only had to use this tarp one time actually, or no, I've used it twice. I like to set up my tarps away from my shelter so that I have somewhere I could go to eat, cook, etc. that's not right where I'm sleeping for safety reasons. But so you could put this up over your tent in the rain, or do what I did and set it up away so that you have just somewhere to hang out when it's raining where you could cook, etc. But I do like this tarp, but I've never tried another tarp, so I don't know how good it is. So I've been trying to convince my best friend to camp with me, and the answer has been no. But she watched one of my videos where I set this tarp up and said that if we could sit under a tarp and eat something other than hot dogs, then she'd consider it. So hasn't happened yet, even though I agreed. So we'll see. We'll see if it happens in the future. Okay, so moving on to food storage. So on this trip, I decided to bring this bear vault. I don't always bring this bear vault, but this area was more remote than any other place I've ever been to, and I just thought there'd be a bigger possibility of bears, so this is the safest option. It's actually, this is just leftover food from the trip that's in here right now, but it's kind of heavy, so that's the only thing about it, and bulky as well. And then the other thing that I brought with me is, and I always almost bring this with me, is this Carhartt insulated lunch bag. And I don't pack it, when I don't pack it totally full, I can shove it in here. As long as I don't fill either too full, which I didn't on this trip. And that worked because it was also pretty cold outside, so that worked pretty well. And then my cook kit. It's probably like a little bit dirty. So, sorry, everything's still a little like grimy from my trip, but I've got a number of different pots and pans, etc. that I've used while camping. So it's not a secret that I like to eat real food when I'm on my trips. I just don't, even at home, like here, I don't like eating processed food or pre-prepared food. I enjoy cooking and eating real food, so I do that also when I'm camping. I will dehydrate my own food and bring that with me, but yeah, it does require me to carry around a lot of stuff with me though. So a few of the items I have here, I've got my big pot, I've got a medium-sized pot, and I've got a small pot. And then I've also got my plate here, I've got a bowl, and then I brought this cup with me just because it's a little bit bigger than the titanium cup I usually bring. And then I like having this pot. It might seem like overkill, but I do like having a pot just simply for boiling water. That way I know it's always clean. I don't have to worry about there being anything in it or whatever when I need to use it. So I always bring this kettle for boiling water. And then I also have these titanium cutlery pieces. My fork probably fell out in my bag somewhere. I can't find it. But I only bring a fork and a spoon. I never use the butter knife, so I save a little bit of weight there, not bringing the butter knife. But and then this is my pour over thing. This is the kettle I use to make coffee. And just along the same lines, I don't like instant coffee. I like to make real coffee. It's important to me. Cooking real food and making real coffee, etc. is important to me. Probably not important to everyone, which is fair. And a lot of people could save a lot of weight and bulk by not carrying all this and just doing a packaged meal. But I mean, for me, it's a major factor in adding to the enjoyment I get when I'm out there is cooking and making food. Also bring these, I bring 2 of these Nalgene bottles for water storage. And I also have some, I don't know where they're at, but I have some little small Nalgene bottles that I use to pack like sauces and different things that I want to, or food storage items, if you will. I did get this little kitchen sink that I use now to fill up with water and then put my dishes in here, rinse them out. Still don't use soap. I just pot my dishes in the fire afterwards and just like use that to sanitize them. Moving on to my sleep system. So this is a Marmot Paiju sleeping bag. I think that's how you say it. But don't quote me because that could very well be wrong. But this sleeping bag, I really shouldn't have left it for the last couple days in this stuff sack like this, but I'll get it out right now. But it's a 9-degree bag. That is the limit rating of this bag. Comfort rating I think is like 20 some degrees. So like I said, this trip, the temperature did get down to 35 degrees, and I will tell you, I was not warm. So this bag, even though it's rated down to 25, I was cold. I did also use this liner, which is a Sea to Summit Reactor liner, which is even supposed to add like 10 degrees or something, maybe even more warmth to the bag, which it does not. I don't know how I've got like a a sticker for a Honeycrisp apple stuck to that somehow. But anyways, so I do think that this is actually a decent sleeping bag. I probably just sleep really cold. Well, I do sleep really cold. But yeah, it's 800 fill down. It's a decent sleeping bag. This does have the hydrophobic down as well, so ideally it can withstand some moisture, etc. Yeah, so the comfort rating is 21 degrees Fahrenheit on this bag. So I don't know, I wasn't comfortable. I ended up like using some hot rocks from the fire that I let cool off a bit so they didn't burn anything, to put in my sleeping bag to stay warm. So yeah, I was pretty bundled up and I still was not warm. The cold wasn't coming from the ground. It was actually coming from like the drafts I felt were coming from more so like the zipper area of the sleeping bag. So yeah, with that, I do also use a sleeping pad that should be fine for late fall, winter weather. It has an R value of 4, I think 4.4 or something like that. This sleeping pad actually to me is so comfortable. I got the wide, so the 25 inch. It's not the smallest or most lightweight sleeping pad, but it's a lot more comfortable than the random Amazon one that I started out with. So that, I could be biased for sure. And then this is just my little tent light. Nothing special here. I just randomly got this on Amazon. But this thing, the charge on this lasts forever. Like I accidentally left this on one time in my house. I don't know how it like turned itself on or something. but it stayed on for over a week and never died. So this thing will last forever. So I've been using it for a while and I like it. I don't even know what it is. I like bringing a pillow. I don't know. I know some people just like shove their clothes in a bag or something and use that, but I like having an actual pillow. This one's really comfortable. It's a climate pillow. And I actually got this from work as a 5-year anniversary gift. They give you like a little catalog to choose stuff from, so I chose this. And I like it. I don't like those blow up pillows. I feel like they're super uncomfortable. This one is like, I don't know, some type of memory foam, but it really doesn't compact down that small and it's kind of heavy, but I don't know, it helps me get a good night's sleep, so to me it's worth it. One thing that kind of bugs me honestly about all sleep system or sleeping gear is this squishy material that everything is made out of, because everything always slips around. My sleeping bag slides around on my sleeping pad. My pillow slides around on my sleeping bag. I'm always slipping and sliding when I'm trying to sleep, and that is super uncomfortable. So I know it's probably like that because this material is supposed to be like durable, water resistant, and lightweight. I don't know if there's a solution to that or not. I think that probably disrupts my sleep more than anything when I'm out camping. Something else I just wanted to mention, because it's probably the item that people ask about the most in my videos, but I didn't bring it on this trip, but I thought I'd show it anyways. It's the Thermarest Ultralight Cot. And although I do actually really like this cot, there's a few reasons I didn't bring it on this trip. First, the weight, of course, like I just didn't want to carry the extra weight. And then two, it is a pain to put up and take down. So I would bring this with me for a multi-day trip where I was at the same campsite the entire time, so that I didn't have to keep putting it up and taking it down, because it does actually add a lot of comfort. This paired with my Big Agnes sleeping pad, I literally feel like I'm sleeping on a legit bed. I mean, if I'm doing a lot of portaging and or changing campsites, then it's just not worth it. So, but I thought I'd show it. It is a gear item that is difficult to find. I got it on clearance. Helinox does make a cot as well, an ultralight cot as well. I haven't tried it, but I've seen other people using that one that seem to like it, so that's an alternative option. Some other items that I bring with me are this Agawa Oriole 21 saw. And I use this for processing firewood. I think I've had it for about a year now, and I've replaced the blade one time. I also have tried like a silky style saw, which I did not like because just the motion of using a silky saw hurts my wrist for some reason. And I've gotten back from trips with my, that feels like a tongue twister for some reason. I've gotten back from trips where my wrist was just like weirdly tweaked using the silky saw. This one, nothing like that. It works really well. Camp chair. I do bring a camp chair. This one is fairly lightweight. It's the Helinox Zero chair. I think pretty much every single camper person has this chair. I was using the REI Air chair, and I got that one first just because it was at the time a lot cheaper than this one. But on one trip, I, for some reason, packed the legs to the air chair in my with my tent. So then when I was getting ready for the next trip, I could not find the legs to the chair anywhere. So then I just had to like run out last minute, grab a new chair. This one happened to be on sale at REI that weekend, so I just grabbed it. So I've used both, and initially I thought that this chair, this Helinox Zero, was way better than the air chair because it just feels a lot more quality. Like the material of the chair is reinforced and it just feels a lot more solid than the air chair feels a little bit flimsier and cheaper. But one thing I'll say about this chair is if you're not on like 100% flat ground, it feels like you're gonna like fall forward. And I didn't ever feel like that with the air chair. So I don't know what the difference is there. And then a book. I always bring a book with me on these trips thinking like, oh, I'll have time to like relax and read. And I literally never do. I never have time to do that. Like somehow on these trips, time just flies by and I feel like I'm never actually relaxing. So I just end up carrying around a book for no reason. But yeah, I brought one on this trip with me. And then Hygiene. So this is my little Hygiene Ditty Bag. For some reason, Hygiene seems to be a pretty polarizing topic. On one hand, when I tell people that I don't shower for 3 or 4 days and go out into the woods, they think I'm disgusting. And then on the other hand, there's people that don't believe I'm even doing it for real because I'm too clean. So, and if I was a real camper, I would not be as clean as I am. So I believe that hygiene is personal. I'm not gonna let not showering hold me back from getting out and doing these trips. But I also, I prefer to try at least to stay clean. Just like mentally, I just feel better when I'm clean. I just bring like face wash, contact lens solution, chapstick, more chapstick, contact lens thingy holder, and then a toothbrush, foldable one, toothpaste tabs. This is a tinted sunscreen. Actually, I love this tinted sunscreen. So it doesn't leave a white cast like some other mineral sunscreens do. And even though I'm camping alone, I'm still filming myself and I'd rather not look like a ghost. So I think that this works really well. I think it's SPF, maybe SPF 50. I'll show a B-roll clip of it, but I think it's called Cieli, and they have all different shades too. So it's kind of nice. Moisturizer for my face. I also use Wilderness wipes, or a version of Wilderness wipes. I think Wilderness wipes is the brand. Just to do like a sort of baby wipe bath. If I can just like go for a swim or something, I'll do that. But like on this trip, it was way too cold. With my hair being curly and everything, the best thing to do is just to keep like a moisturizer in it and then leave it, like not tie it up, don't put it back because it starts to get tangled and matted really easily if I start doing that. So I do wear my hair down a lot. I did start putting it back when I'm around a fire, although on this trip I forgot my hair tied. But yeah, those are all the hygiene items that I brought out with me on this trip and pretty much bring out with me on every trip. Now for the clothing that I brought with me on this trip. So I brought this rain jacket this time because it's hunting season and I wanted a something to be blaze orange, just again for safety. This is the Black Diamond something jacket, I don't remember. It's the Black Diamond Stormline jacket, which typically is a pretty expensive rain jacket, but I got it $100 off because it was in a less desirable color. It's actually one size smaller than I would have preferred, like for layering and everything, but that was the only one that was on sale, so I got it. And then for warmth, I brought this thicker fleece. And as you can tell, yeah, it's in rough shape after the trip. It's pretty grimy looking, but I don't know what I was thinking bringing something this color out there with me. It was pretty silly, to be honest. The one I usually wear is like a dark green color, but I think I brought this one because I was already wearing black and orange, and then with green, I just felt like, I don't know, like literal pumpkin. But I guess I should take my mom's advice and stop trying to be cute and just be comfortable. So the pants that I brought on this trip are the Abisco pants by Fjallraven. I did try the Keb pants that literally every single person that does anything outdoors wears and loves, and I didn't really like them. Plus they were $100 more than the Abisco pant, so I went with the Abisco pant. Really, really good pants. They're super stretchy and fit really well, but like really good material. So I liked those a lot on this trip. I'm happy that I got them. I don't know, maybe when I've got more experience and I am a real camper, maybe that's when I'll figure out what all the hype is for the Keb pants. I brought a base layer pant and a base layer shirt, both fleece lined. The clothing items I wear, I typically buy like my base items in black. I just want to get as much time and use out of them as possible, and black seems to uphold the best. So that's why I wear black, not as like a fashion statement or anything like that. And then at night, I was sleeping in this jacket here. This is the Ghost Whisper jacket by Mountain Hardwear. It's really, really lightweight, so I pretty much always bring this jacket on every single trip, regardless of weather, because it's 7 ounces. I don't I can't find it in this color anymore, so I don't think they make it in this color, but really nice jacket. And it also compacts, like it compacts pretty small. I feel like I'm not doing it justice right now, but I can even like shove it in with my sleeping bag or whatever in that stuff sack, and it just takes up no space and hardly weighs anything. So I always have it. I slept in it. I was still cold on this trip though. And then I did bring a couple pairs of gloves. So I brought these gloves just for handling firewood and using them around the fire. In the past, I did wear gloves to do that, and I always come home from every trip with scratches and cuts, etc. on my hands. So someone suggested I get some of these in the comments, and I did, and I'm glad I did. Someone in the comments said that my clothing is sus, and after Googling what that meant, I realized that these are probably the most sus pieces of clothing that I own, just because I think they were like $6 and they're supposed to be genuine leather. I don't know, but they seem to work really well. And the other pair of gloves that I brought are just these paddling gloves. They're otter shell paddling gloves, but yeah, they're like a neoprene material. They have this grippy stuff on them so that it's easier to hold the paddle, keep your hands kind of warm. I always bring these Sealskin waterproof socks, and I've also been asked, like, why do I pull these up over my pants? And there's two reasons. One, because it offers the most protection against ticks and other bugs or whatever crawling up from the bottom of your pants. And then two, because they're waterproof. It just, you know, the higher up they are, the better in covering what's underneath them. I love these shoes. These shoes, they're the Solomon Tech Amphibians is what they're called, but they're basically like a cross between a hiking shoe and a water shoe, which is perfect for canoe trips because you're getting wet in and out of water all the time, and then you're on portages. So they're really comfortable for portaging, and they dry really quickly also. Now, I really, really wish I could find a hiking shoe that I loved as much as I love these, because I've tried so many different hiking shoes and I don't like any of them, but I do love these. First aid kit. I keep a headlamp in there. I have a ferro rod in my, even though it's usually something I haul around for no reason because I never have been able to fully start a fire with one. So I just keep a couple of lighters in here, and then I actually got a suggestion to stop carrying fire starters and to just soak some cotton balls in petroleum jelly. And that works better than any fire starter that I've bought. So I do that now. I do keep a couple random fire starters in here just because they're there, but the cotton ball thing works the best. So thank you to anyone that commented and told me to do that. And then I've got just this fuel I don't usually keep in here. I don't even know why it's in here right now. But a little 100-gram thing of fuel, just, you know, for in the mornings for making coffee if I don't want to start like an entire fire. A pair of glasses just in case like something happens to my contact lenses while I'm out. And my knife. So this is just like a fairly inexpensive knife. It's by Mora Knife. And so this knife was covered in rust on one of my last trips, and a guy named John Rose suggested I get these like maroon scrub pads to get the rust off and I wouldn't have to replace it, which I did. Worked great. So I actually was able to get a majority of the rust off the knife, and those scrub pads I literally have used for so many things. Like I use them to clean my stainless steel pots and pans here at home. I feel like I should have been using those, but and then I also use this pocket rocket. I think this is the pocket rocket too. I think camp stove. Binoculars, which another item that I bring that I seem to never use. And then I just have like various cordage. These I acquired on the trip from someone just leaving them at campsites, but whatever, you can never have too many pieces of paracord. And then for water filtration, I use this Grail. The reason I went with the Grail, even though there are way more convenient and cheaper options out there, is because this is the only thing that I could find that was both a filter and a purifier. And it removes things like chemicals, heavy metals, pesticides. I, of course, would prefer a gravity style filter. I just don't know of one that does all of these things. So it's a bit of a pain in the butt because you can't go out into the middle of the lake, which I would love to do, and get water from there, because trying to use this thing in your canoe is virtually impossible. I always have bear spray, like always. So of course I brought this with me. The last category of items would be my canoe and my paddling gear. Yeah, so I'll insert some B-roll and then come back to wrap up the video. This is the Esquif Adirondack. It's about 12 feet and about 40 pounds. It's made of T4 so it's extremely durable, which I'm grateful for because I've drug it, scraped it across rocks. It's been through a lot. I probably do need to get a keel guard for it though, I will say that. So far, I do really like this canoe. It is my first canoe. I feel like it does do well tracking in a straight line, but is a little bit challenging to maneuver. And with my canoe, I did get this removable yoke that I use for portaging, and it is padded. I've got an aquabound manta ray, and I've also got a bending branches beaver tail. I bring two with me just for safety purposes in case I was to lose one, but I tend to paddle both, although I'm not very good at using the single paddle, or probably the double paddle for that matter. I recently upgraded my life vest to this NRS one, which is an actual paddling PFD. I've got these extra pockets here, so I usually keep my Garmin Inreach in here, my car keys. This is the PFD I've been wearing since my last trip. Okay, so that pretty much sums it up. I mean, a lot of these items are just my base items that I bring on every trip, and a few of them are things that I brought specifically for this fall trip. But with that, again, like I said in the beginning, I'm not an expert. If anybody has any suggestions, or you see that I could be doing something better, or there's something better out there, I'm happy to hear about it. But I hope that this helped provide some insight onto what I bring and why I bring it. With that, I gotta get to editing so I can get this out and get my next video out. And thank you again for watching. I will see you in the next one.